gentlemen, I'm really excited to be here and to talk to you this afternoon. And after we have heard now a few comments with regard to the consumer business, I would like to share some thoughts with regard to the industry I'm standing for here. This first slide and the comments made here on the left side are familiar. We have talked often today about it and heard about it. The buzzwords are on here as well. And we probably also agree on the right side by saying that those developments are increasing. They get faster, they get more dramatic. We see, as we also heard, new competitors coming in. IT companies are entering into new markets, in traditional markets they haven't been in before. But I think where we maybe not all agree is about the speed. And I would just like to use the famous image of the chessboard where you put one rice corn on the first field, you double it, you double it, you double it. And I think it's a quite good picture because I believe we are in the midst of entering the second half of the chessboard. So what we have seen in the past might not even be close to what we will experience as we move forward. So the speed is probably one of the essential parts. And just to give you an example, and you see here in the background the famous Tesla car. It's not just standing for a company coming into the automotive industry by designing and building an all-electric car. The next picture will show you in a second what they also do. And this picture is just showing you, on the left-hand side, the traditional energy market where you got a power plant on one side, and on the right-hand side, the consumer. A one-directional flow of energy, pretty simple in a certain way. And now look what happened today. We just got many more players in the game. We got prosumers, we got wind farms, we got solar panels on private homes, and if you look carefully, you also find a car using the battery as a storage place for electricity. And now you can imagine, just from a visual perspective, when you look at this right side of the picture, how complicated this business model is and what it needs to manage this stream of energy in the most efficient way. And you may see what it means for customers of ours, players in this game, how they have to adapt to those new business models. And just to share another picture, in the car industry. And on the left side, you see the starting at the 1800s, when water and steam, single part production. And the interesting part is when you just go from the first industrial revolution to the second and to the third, it's somewhat around 100 years. It took basically to go from one stage to another. And the last third revolution was when we talked about flexible mass production. And now look at the right side, the fourth industrial revolution, when we talk about digitalization and individualized mass production. And just look at the time horizon, not even 20 years were needed to get us to a complete new plateau. And the picture, as small it might be, is telling a quite interesting story when we talk about the digital twin, from the product design all the way through testing, having everything digitalized, including the ecosystem and the supply chain, and then turn the digital world into the real world. And just when we think about the change in the business service industry, see what those industries are faced with. We at Siemens look at the world and what's going on in the digital technologies in those four elements. On the one hand side, mobile and collaboration, connectivity, the Internet of Things or systems, cloud technologies, and the big data analytics we have talked about. And our three pillars in our strategy built on electrification, automation, and digitalization. And just to give you a glimpse what it means for us, just a few numbers. In the meantime, We have 3.1 billion in sales with regard to vertical software and 600 million in digital services. And those are new business fields, and you see yourself the growth rates here on the chart. So that means a transformation also for us in our company moving forward. So, what does it mean for business services? In this kind of uncertainty and the dust cloud you described, quite impressive. Just looking back in the history, we started off focusing basically on cost management. We talked about optimizing processes, and we made great progress, and we're proud of the productivity we gained and partially could forward to our customers in the sense of price reduction. And don't get me wrong, this was all right and necessary to set the platform for digitalization, harmonization, standardization, bundling, all those activities I regard as being a prerequisite. But some of the productivity we gained now has to be reinvested to enter basically in the next phase, which is here symbolized under the headline of digitalization. And allow me just to use this one framework, and I know you can tell the stories in many, many different ways, but probably all are somewhat have in common that they talk about, on the one hand side, the digitalization of the business services. We talk about end-to-end optimization and process integration. And we have on the one hand side, here shown on the left side, what I call the digital engagement, usability, customer engagement on the one hand side, and on the other hand side of the framework, the digital governance. And allow me to just go briefly through some of those elements to make a little bit clear what I mean by that. When we talk, for instance, about front-end optimization, back-end acceleration, and value-added services. So the first one, front-end optimization. The lower part is showing basically our historic ERP landscape. And depending on the size, the history of your company, this animal in many cases is highly complex and is asking for a lot of efforts to get some optimization into that system. In the meantime, we got these business process management solutions which help us to integrate and automate end-to-end processes. And I don't even have to spend any words more on the aspect of robotics. But are we really right when we talk about disruptive developments? Sometimes disruptive may also be a sign that we missed to really anticipate what's coming, looking in other industries, and then just due to the fact that we are surprised, we call it disruptive. On the back-end acceleration, I think, and here you just see on the left-hand side a little bit of a situation we face within our company, within Siemens, a high diversity of ERP systems for historical reasons, organizational reasons, and so on. And I think the new in-memory technology offers a huge, huge lever to create value, not just in the accounting and the financial world by allowing now for soft close in periods in between, deliver on the spot, I would say, insight what has been needed in transactional processes, allow process mapping to see where the S to B process is not in compliance because people just having many, many detours around that, and so on. So a lot of value is just created out of this in-memory technology. Another example, when we talk about end-to-end optimization, and this is shown here, and you all know this very simple example of a travel and entertainment expense report. We know how complicated and how many stakeholders are involved in this pretty simple process, as we might to believe. And now imagine, and you see just a few figures here, just right in China, we got over 40 different travel policies. If you take this number and take it around the world, you probably count many more than 100 different policies just taking care of this one specific process. We got 4.4 million expense claims on a yearly basis. And this is a huge diversity in the universe, and now imagine what productivity lies in that specific process just to get it harmonized end to end. Get all the different stakeholders from HR, accounting, travel agencies, the travel itself in one seamless process is a huge value. And when we talk about value generation, here a very simple example, and some of you who might be closer to the consumer business might even know about it, but we're talking here in the industry about lead generation. And you wouldn't believe how many salespeople spend hours and hours to go through the web, look at customer internet pages, and see where we find promising leads. And just applying analytics make a huge progress here. And we have tested it, and this in a very successful way. So time which was spent by salespeople to get ready is now taking over by the intelligence of analyzing data. So how to facilitate this change? We in Siemens gave all our support functions one organizational blueprint. And I start on the top with the business. And between the business and the support function, one very essential role has been established, that's the business partner. And then we said each support function on the one hand side has know-how oriented, the center of expertise, as we call it, and on the other hand side transactional activities. And last but not least, a lean governance responsibility. And each, from HR, legal, all the way through the organization, all support functions now have established this blueprint with the goal to business proximity, to be efficient and effective, and I stress it again, lean governance. And now the organization I'm standing for here, Global Services, we put those 5 support functions, and I start in the left upper corner, Siemens Real Estate, they hold more than 7 billion in assets, information technology, supply chain, export control and customs, and business process shared services under one roof. And why that? Because we strongly believe that between the different functions, there are a lot of synergies, a lot of room for end-to-end process harmonization. And last but not least, to drive those organizations to a clear customer orientation. Behind this organization, there are roughly 20,000 people working around the world on those topics. And one fundamental topic as well, those functions are globally verticalized. So whoever is in the IT in the Siemens world is reporting in that function. Procurement, exactly the same, and so on. So a complete vertical organization. But this is all kind of structure. What I would like to share with you, because I strongly believe it's so important, this is the topic of innovation. And innovation understood as the combination of creativity and execution. Innovation in the sense that sometimes it's probably more important to find the right problem instead of finding the right solution. Starting with a clear understanding where the problem resides. What is the important problem by itself? And we put it under the headline, let go, in our organization. Why let? Because I strongly believe that we have to give people the freedom. We have to let them take over the responsibility. And like children, what they need in their rooms is space to explore, to fail, and to learn. Let loose in a certain sense, and let people just take their creativity to the best benefit of the company. And it's not quite the way we normally like to act by being in control. This is somewhat the opposite. And I would like to share one very positive experience, on that slide. And that slide is sharing with you the kind of test, the pilot, by using the crowd, for the innovation in our shared service organization. This was just a pilot, but when you look at the feedback, just out of a small organization, we created over 280 ideas. 80,000 people got engaged, made comments, got on the screen. And this is activating a lot of energy and participation. So this was a very, very positive stimulation, and we will carry on to use the knowledge, the competence, the engagement of the organization. Not top-down, but bottom-up. So, but what is the major challenge? And I would like to leave you with one statement our CEO made recently. It is all about the willingness and the ability to change and proactively adapt to new situations. Thanks very much.